make us wait on the bus. I was like, let me take an Uber to the airport so I can get out of here before it happens. Like, no, we all got to take the bus over. So it was terrible.
Well, that's I was trying to symbolically, like, you guys have come kind of bumpy freshman year.
Yeah.
You guys have come a long way.
Yeah.
Have you, probably more just because of the questions we keep asking, but has this kind of last game and all that, have you found yourself reflecting at all recently?
I really haven't been, that reflective, honestly. I mean, I think I probably will be when I'm done, but it's hard to think about other stuff when you still have, like, it just feels like another game week. You got so much work to do, so much prep, all that kind of stuff, practice, so it's hard to have time to reflect on stuff you did a long time ago and you still have a lot to do.
Looking forward for this program, though, and you feel like there's no doubt you guys left it, or leaving it in a better spot.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think, if you look at, where we were when we first got here, I mean, Pete was still trying to get his culture in place, that kind of stuff, still just trying to get guys in who were, great guys, but also top, talent. And now I think you're kind of seeing that. I mean, the recruiting class we've been getting the last couple of years are just, I mean, obviously the stars at the end of the day don't really matter, but if you look at the rankings, that kind of stuff, it's a whole different ballgame than what my class was supposed to be. So it's pretty cool to see, and I think, for the foreseeable future, I think we're going to be a powerhouse. I think Coach Pete's kind of got what he wants set up now, and it's just going to be a pipeline.
What is that next step for this program? I feel like, is that, I mean, you kind of mentioned the recruiting stuff. Is that just kind of getting, maybe just...
Yeah, I think it's obviously, it's always, you want to get the national recruits, you want to get the attention, you want to, show that you're, a team that can be reckoned with. You don't want to just be oh, they're pretty good. You want to be someone that people are like, well, it's Washington. So I think that, it starts with, you got to win the big games. So we got to win the Rose Bowl, that kind of stuff. And I think that in the next couple of years, hopefully, we'll see them back in the playoffs, that kind of stuff. But I don't see any reason why that won't happen. Yeah, no problem.
Ben, how's it going? Just here with the Rose Bowl game. We just want to get you a couple shout-outs. Happy New Year shout-outs for back home and everything.
I just want to say Happy New Year to all my friends and family back home in the Bay Area. It's awesome to be down here for the Rose Bowl.
And then such a historical event, the Rose Bowl. What does it mean to play in the Rose Bowl event?
Yeah, it's really special. I'm from California, so I've been watching this game my whole life, and it means a lot to get to end my college career playing one of the most historic bowl games in the country.
Awesome, man. And just one last thing, just a Happy New Year for everyone, all your fans around.
Happy New Year to all the Dogs fans. Hope you guys have a great time watching us play in the Rose Bowl.
Thank you, man.
Yep, thank you. Yeah, I think, the biggest thing is, to find something you're passionate about. I think, for me, that was football from a young age. I knew that, that was something I wanted to do with my life. And I think when you have something you can really, put your passion into and kind of focus on it can, put you on a path that's going to, lead you to success. And since I was 7 years old, that's what I wanted to do. And when you have something like that, it's kind of just like a rock in your life. It makes you, so focused, and it teaches you a lot about hard work and, the dedication that's required to succeed.
And then as you were playing, as you progressed and got better, was there a certain time, a certain year, high school, college, that you felt like you were really comfortable on defense? You could see the field, you could see the plays coming at you.
Yeah, I think, probably my junior year of high school. So I played linebacker when I was a kid in Pop Warner, that kind of stuff. And then when I got to high school, I was kind of bouncing around, playing whatever they needed me to be. And then I went back to linebacker my junior year. And that was kind of when I was like, all right, I got this. I can do this at a high level. And I knew that kind of that year is when I felt like I knew I was going to be able to do this in college and hopefully beyond that. So it was definitely my junior year of high school is when I really started to feel it.
Great, thank you.
No problem.
Hey Ben, do you mind if I just ask you a few questions?
No worries. Go ahead.
So you're the Pac-12 Scholar Athlete of the Year. Being able to go to the Rose Bowl and have that accomplishment in the same year, what does that mean to you to be able to accomplish those two great things?
Yeah, it's pretty special. Obviously it's awesome to be Scholar Athlete of the Year. It's cool to, be recognized for more than just what I'm doing, on the field. It's nice to people know what I'm doing off the field too. But it's pretty special, to have, such a cool year, for me alone, but also, be in the Rose Bowl with my team. My last game as a Husky, I get to play in, the biggest, bowl game in the country. So it's been a really special season.
Awesome. And so we asked a few fans on Twitter to submit questions for you guys to answer.
Yep.
So do you mind if I just pull them up and
go ahead.
Actually, there's some ones that are specifically for you. One is, what's your favorite color? If you want to answer that one, you can answer that one. But I thought a pretty good one also was, what's it like knowing that you're representing the Pac-12?
Yeah.
You want to answer that one?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks. All right, let me get that. All right.
Yeah, it means a lot to represent the Pac-12. I think our conference kind of gets looked down on a little bit. They think we don't play as good a football here on the West Coast. So it's always special, to be in a bowl game and kind of try to go out here and show that, we play real good football in the Pac-12, and there's a lot of great talent out here, and hopefully, on the first we can show the rest of the country that too.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no
Appreciate
problem.
it, Ben.
I'm doing real well. How about you?
I heard that, I learned that from Ken Griffey Jr. He always person's doing, then you can start asking questions. Then I could make you laugh. I made Vince McMahon laugh once, and Vince Carter. Those are probably the top two on my list. But what is it about, and also, I wrote about this, congratulations on the Tournament of Roses Scholar Athlete.
Thank you.
What is it about this matchup Tuesday that should make people watch this game?
I mean, I think you're looking at one of the most explosive offenses in the country against one of the best defenses in the country, and I think that's kind of what you always want to see in a football game is kind of the immovable object against the unstoppable force, and who's going to break first, who's going to be the one that crumples. So I think it's one of those things where it's kind of the matchup you want. You want to see the best of the best going at it. So I think there's a lot of reasons to watch this game.
And what are some of the other reasons to watch it? Any other reasons you want to?
I mean, it's the Rose Bowl. I mean, I hope people want to watch the Rose Bowl. I grew up watching the Rose Bowl. I'm from California, so it's the biggest bowl game in the country for me. It always has been. It's the game, and it's one of those things where I hope that people want to tune in, get to see, a lot of guys. For this is our last game. We're going to be playing college football, so hopefully people want to, see us play one last time.
But of course, there were two pretty big games yesterday.
Yes.
And there's even a bigger game a week from
Yep.
tomorrow. So I mean, things have changed.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alert, Mike, things will change.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, for a player, it's like it's still a bit. To you, it's still a pretty big game, despite the changes in college football.
Oh yeah, it's the Rose Bowl, and that's never going to change. And I think obviously it's different now with the way the playoff system works and all that kind of stuff. But it's the Rose Bowl. It's over 100 years of football, and it's always some of the best teams in the country matching up. So I think that just the way it works. I mean, obviously it's easy to just be like, oh, all that matters now is the national championship. But I think for us, the guys playing this game, we know how much it means, and I think our fans know how much it means too.
What would you want people to know about this Washington team?
I mean, I hope people respect us. I think that's the biggest thing. I think it's easier for people to overlook Pac-12 football. They think we're not as good as the Big Ten, the SEC, all that kind of stuff. And I get it. People are asleep; they don't watch our games as much. But I hope people know that we got some good football players out here, and I hope that people, that we at Washington, I think we're one of the best teams in the country, and I think we've been that for the last few years. We've been showing it, and I hope that when people watch this week, they come away impressed and that they respect us a little bit more.
Hopefully this comes out right. Can you touch on it? Why should people respect your team?
We're good. We're a good football team. We got good players across the board, and I think that if you put on our tape, you're going to see that. I mean, we have guys. Our defense probably has 3 or 4 guys that are going to be in the top 3 rounds of the draft. So I think that, if you're overlooking us thinking we're not good, I mean, you're going to be disappointed then because you're going to turn on the tape and see a good football team.
Yeah, because it seems like if you don't make some people, it seems almost, tell me if I'm wrong, it seems almost that if you don't make the playoffs, if you don't make college football playoffs, people don't think you're good.
Yeah.
So obviously you disagree. So that's why there's that.
Yeah, I mean, I think people probably do think, but there's only 4 teams that make it, and there's a lot more than 4 good teams in the country. And I think the way the playoffs work, it's kind of, it comes down to just judgment calls. So it's hard to subjectively be like, oh, well, those are the best 4 teams, and it's hard because the way teams match up, you really can't know until you get there. So it's a weird system right now, and I think hopefully down the road it'll expand a little bit. But I think with the 4 teams, I mean, it's hard to say those are the only good teams in the country because there's over 100 college football teams that play football, and I know there's a lot more than just 4 good ones.
What do you expect? What kind of game do you expect Tuesday?
It's gonna be a fight. I think both teams are gonna come out swinging, and we got good playmakers. They got good playmakers. We know that they're gonna make plays. You don't expect to play a perfect game. We know that they got great players, so we know it's gonna be a dogfight, and I think it'll probably come down to the 4th quarter.
You think it's going to come down to the 4th quarter? Now, there have been a bunch of bowl games recently that have been blowouts.
Yeah.
Why do you think this won't be a blowout?
I mean, obviously, I know Coach Pete. I know the way we prepare, and I met Coach Meyer a couple days ago at Disneyland, and you can tell that he's a similar kind of coach to Coach Pete. And I think, when you see those bowl games where things slip, it just comes down to fundamentals. Guys aren't tackling. Guys aren't just playing the way they've played all year, and I think that it's pretty hard to not get up for the Rose Bowl. So I expect both teams to come out firing.
Thanks, take care. What do you attribute your academic success to?
I think, my parents instilled in me at a young age the importance of academics. They always knew I loved sports, and that's what I wanted to do. But sports isn't forever, and you got to focus on other things too. And I think that, from a young age, I've known that, and it never kind of went away. So I just kept doing my best in the classroom too.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
It's just so much challenges for us.
Hey, how you
Good.
doing? Just curious with the fact that you guys are Pac-12 champs and aren't getting a chance to play for a national championship. When you see people talking now about the chance of expanding the playoff even more than 4 teams, is that something that you personally and talking with your fellow teammates, is that something you think would be good for college football?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously tough to figure out how the scheduling and all that stuff would work because we play so many games already, and you'd have to add a couple more weeks of the season. But I think I think it would be a good thing for college football. I think it's hard to say that there's only 4 teams that should be playing for that because there's so many good teams in college football, and there's more than 4 conferences. There's all sorts of stuff. So it's hard to say no to that because when you just look at the teams that miss out on it, there's so many good football teams that should have a shot at that can't with the current system. And I don't know how you fix it. I don't know how you expand it and how that works, but I hope that they will eventually. Yeah.
And it kind of creates a scenario where even the Rose Bowl, you guys probably some ways can't help but feel like this is some kind of like consolation prize almost because you're not playing for a championship.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you can fall into that trap, but I think it's, especially with the Rose Bowl, it's kind of hard to have that because, it's the Rose Bowl. This is the game that we all grew up watching, and, I think that people understand the importance of the game. It's, it's a matchup against 2 of the best teams in the country, and I think that, yeah, it's, it's a bummer that it doesn't have the same weight it used to, when it was, the national championship, that kind of stuff. But I think that, for the guys playing, none of the guys on our team feel that way. You can feel the energy and practice, the excitement. So I think we're good to go.
Is it crazy that Ohio State and Washington have never played in the Rose Bowl?
Yeah, that seems pretty impossible with the way it works with Big Ten and Pac-12. But I guess it's just the nature of it. And hopefully we can make this first matchup pretty fun.
And in both programs, it's been a while since both of them have been here. And do you sense that this does hold kind of a special vibe to it?
Oh yeah, this I can't speak for their fans obviously, but I know for Washington, the Rose Bowl is kind of the game that made our program. When Don James was here and all that stuff. So I think for us, it's been 18 years since we've been here, and I know you can just tell around Seattle before we came down here how excited people are. It means so much to everyone to be back in this game, and hopefully bring back a win because like I said, the Rose Bowl really has been kind of the pillar that our program kind of first grew up on.
Have you guys, did coaches or anybody try to give you like a history lesson on that type of stuff? Is that just
we definitely have some. We have some of the old alumni come in, talk to us about the game, that kind of stuff. But it's hard to not know. When you're in Seattle, you see the trophies, you know the stories, you know all the players, and it's one of those things where it's kind of ingrained in Husky football. It's always about the Rose Bowl. It's always been that way, and I think it's obviously different now, like you said, with the playoffs. But it's the Rose Bowl, and it always will be that game. And I think that for watching football, especially for Pac-12 teams, it's hard to not get excited about going to the Rose Bowl because it's been the premier bowl game for us for a long time.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, no problem.
Seattle, on the campus, around the fellow students, how does the spirit really come out? What do you love about being on campus?
Yeah, you can just, you tell, people are always excited saying hi to you. They're always talking about the games. They want to talk to you about what's been going on. It's just great to see it. You see it on social media, all these people, all these students trying to figure out how they're going to get to the game, how they're going to come down and watch us play. And obviously we have a great contingent of fans who are coming down. I think we sold all of our allotted tickets pretty fast to, fill up the stadium with purple. So it's pretty clear when you go to Seattle that people are really excited about this game. Yep, no problem. We have access to so much NFL tape, the all-22s and that kind of stuff, and you definitely try to watch the guys who are the best. So I always try to watch guys like Kuechly, and I think it helps a lot. It's funny because obviously they're doing different schemes, that stuff, but you can see the the intensity those guys play with, and you can tell the attention to detail. You can see the film study coming out. They're making plays before the offense can even finish with their sets and stuff like that. So definitely, if I had to pick one, I'd say I watch Kuechly as much as I can. I just think the way he plays the game is pretty special, and I really enjoy seeing that.
Have you heard scouts or other people compare you to Kuechly?
Some of my teammates do, but not scouts really, no.
Okay, because a lot of tackles. Both of you guys had a lot of tackles in college,
yep.
Same type build and stuff. But it's interesting that you say you watch him.
Yeah.
Watch him a lot. You see a lot of similarities in him with you, or?
I don't want to say I'm Luke Kuechly because I think he's the best linebacker in the NFL. But I think I definitely see he plays with. I think he has great football instincts, or something I've always prided myself on. I think that's a big part of why I've gotten to where I am is the understanding of the game, and I think it comes from just the passion he plays with. You can tell that it means so much to him, and that's what this game means to me. It means everything to me, and I've worked so hard to be where I am, and I think that the way he plays the game, he plays a really cerebral game, which I think it's easy to overlook that element of football. It's easy to just look at these big, strong dudes, beating the crap out of each other. But you watch him play, you can tell, he's playing a thinking man's game, and he's figuring out how to attack an offense and how to understand what they're trying to do to him and how he's best going to counter that. And I try to emulate that as much as I can.
Just how much would it mean to get a win in a New Year's Six Bowl, just considering the past couple of years? I mean, you guys were in the college football playoff, Fiesta Bowl last year, now Rose Bowl.
Yeah, it would be huge. Obviously we've had some frustrating, games to end our season the last couple of years, like you said, and I think that, obviously, for us as players it would mean a ton, but I think it would mean a lot to our fans too, especially, being the Rose Bowl, which is so much history, in our football program. So it would mean a ton, especially my last college game. I don't want to go out on a loss, so it would mean a ton to get to end this the right way.
I think Jake gets a bad rap. I mean, he's been the starter forever, and I mean, this year people were talking about, your scout team quarterback and transferred, and people looking at his stats compared to his sophomore year and not measuring up to the past couple of years.
It's unfortunate, but I think that's the nature of playing quarterback is, people are always going to want something more, or you're not good enough, and I think that it's a bummer because if you look at what he's done for our program, we're not where we are without him. He's probably the catalyst of turning us around. I mean, he's got a chance to go out with 40 wins, be the winningest quarterback we've had. He's the winningest quarterback in Pac-12 history. So I don't know how much more you could really want from him. I think he's done so much for this program, and I don't think anyone on our team has any issues with Jake. We love him. We know how much of a leader he's been for us, and I think he's one of the toughest guys out there, physically and mentally, because it's hard to hear that from your own fans, the media, that kind of stuff. Everyone's saying what happened to him, that kind of stuff. But he's the same guy, and we know that, and we know what he can do, and we have total confidence in him.
Been the two running backs, 25 and 2. I think Mike Weber's actually wearing.
He's been switching off, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But what just jumps out at you about both of those guys?
Yeah, they're both really, really dynamic guys. They're pretty similar, and they're building the way they run the ball. But I think that's what makes them so good is that you can kind of interchange those guys all game long and keep them fresh. And you see them; they're pretty patient guys. They'll go and they'll get 3 yards, and you think, oh, maybe they're going to get frustrated, but they just keep coming. And then all of a sudden, you turn on the tape and they're busting 60-yard runs out the back door and that kind of stuff. So, they're guys you got to tackle low. They're both really strong guys. They're really strong guys. You see them running through arm tackles, that kind of stuff. So, we know we're going to have to gang tackle both those guys, get them on the ground.
I've talked to you about 3 times already this week, and I get the impression that you prepare like a demon. What have you noticed that's different between 5 and 2?
And so I think 2 runs a little bit more power. I think he, they like statistically, you look at their numbers and their heights and all the weights. I think they're pretty similar on the roster. But I think Dobbins runs a little bit harder with a little more power, and you see 25 breaking out some more spin moves, that kind of stuff. So there definitely are some slight differences. But I think you got to try to approach it the same way and not get too caught up and just like, oh, what's he going to do? What's he going to do? You just got to go and make the tackle. So they definitely have some differences in their game, but they're both really talented guys.
Yeah, you played on the team that went to the playoffs a couple years ago. What have you noticed about the difference of the intensity of preparation for this game compared to a couple years ago when you guys were?
I think it's just as intense. I think obviously, people could say, oh, it doesn't count for the playoffs or the championship, that kind of stuff. But it's the Rose Bowl, and we understand that. We know how much this game means. Not only to us but our fans and everybody. So I think I've seen guys working just as hard, just as focused. We want this game bad. It means a lot to us. So I don't think there's been any drop off intensity from that to this.
I was going to say if they go to an 18 playoff, this would have probably been one of the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Two conference champions. Do you see it? You're moving on probably, but do you see it eventually being an 18 tournament at least?
Yeah, I definitely think it will be. I think it has to be. I think it's hard to say that you only give 4 teams a shot. At the national title when there's so much good football being played, and it's it comes down to people making decisions rather than what's happening on the field, and that's hard to tell guys that you can't go and play for a national title because somebody said you weren't good enough. So I think it's one of those things that's going to have to expand. I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know what that looks like, but I think down the road it's going to have to.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem.
A lot of praise for Coach Lake. What has he meant to you in your time in the program?
Yeah, Coach Lake has allowed me to become who I am. I think he's one of the best coaches I've ever had. He's an extremely demanding coach. He expects the best from you, and I think that's why we've had such success. Is you know that you have to play to the best of your ability, or else you're not going to be on the field. And I think that speaks to him as a coach. I mean, he's putting us in a position to play, but you better get it done. And I think that I really appreciate him about that. Is he doesn't beat around the bush. He's going to tell you how it is, and I think that. From the game plan part, I mean, there's nobody better. He understands what offenses are trying to do to us, and he's going to put us in the best position to get it done. And I think that you can see that. I mean, every year our points per game has been going down, and I think that our secondary has been the best in the country for a while now. And every year we're sending guys to the NFL and seemingly able to reload no matter what happens. So I think he's a really talented coach, and I hope that we can keep him at UW for a little bit longer before he goes off and gets a head coach job.
Yeah, the Miami job opened this morning, so he seems like.
I hope he sticks around. I hope Huskies keep him a little bit longer. But yeah, he's one of those guys that I know down the road is going to be doing big things at a head coaching job.
You mentioned that guys are leaving for the NFL, but you continue to replace them. What's really sort of gone into that? Before you came, you had guys like Lowy, and now it's Buda Baker, but you're able to keep replacing. Yep. What's been kind of the main factor behind that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it starts with recruiting. You have to get guys in that are talented, but I think it's the guys that we are recruiting. I think a lot of it happens between the ears because there's a lot of kids out there, 5-star recruits. They're physical freaks, but mentally they're just not ready for the college game. And I think our coaches do a really good job of identifying guys that can physically do it, but also are mentally ready for the the rigors of this game because it's a hard game. Things aren't going to go right, and you got to be ready for a lot of stuff to happen. I think that every year our coaches bring in a class of kids that are ready to go, and you see it. I mean, guys go out there and you're like, really, he's a true freshman, but they're just playing up to a level that they can't not be on the field. So it's one of those things that I think our program does a really good job of, and especially with the the new rule where they can play 4 games, we've been able to give a lot of kids looks without counting against their eligibility that I think is going to really be helpful down the road.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
What's it like for you and the rest of the seniors? I apologize if you've been already asked
You're good.
1,000 times. What is it like for you guys knowing that your last college game is going to be the Rose Bowl?
Yeah, it's a really special way to go out. I think once we realized we still had that on the table, obviously there was a couple weeks there where we weren't really sure if we were going to have a shot at the Pac-12 title, that kind of stuff. But once we knew we were going to play in the Pac-12 title, we knew we had an opportunity if we win that game to go out hopefully the right way with a Rose Bowl win, which is about as good a way to go out a college career as you can imagine.
Can you break down for me the Ohio State wide receivers? What makes them so difficult? Do you think they're underrated?
Yeah, no, I think they're a dynamic group. You put on the tape and it's hard because normally one team is like, oh, they got that one guy. You look at the star, and obviously Campbell probably is that guy, but you look at the other guys and they're all stars. They're all going to be NFL talent guys, and I think what they do is they do a really good job of with their route concepts of figuring out ways to spread the ball around and not let you just key in on one guy. And you see it happen. You put on the tape and they're shredding teams. I mean, they put up 69 or something like that against Michigan, almost entirely through the air. So it's a tough task, and obviously our DBs are going to be up to the task, but they're a good group of guys, and it's probably one of the best position groups we've seen all year.
After having big games in the past, are you noticing a difference at all with your teammates of the intensity leading up to this one of, no, we want to get the win this time?
Yeah, I think especially it's less new now. I think obviously when we went to the playoffs, it was kind of the first real eye-opening, whoa, this is a whole different ball game. And I think that every year we've gotten a little bit better in our preparation. Guys are understanding that there's not really any time to waste. Obviously feels like, oh, we got a month to get ready for this game. We'll be good. And I think from the first day of practice, we've probably had our best practices we've had, for a bowl game since I've been here. I mean, just the intensity the guys are playing with and the focus and the passion. Guys are watching more film than they have before. I see guys I've never seen with their iPad sitting there watching tape. So it's exciting to see that, and hopefully it shows up on the field.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you very much.